In this video, we're looking at a 1999 Toyota Land Cruiser that is currently 23 years old. It's January 2022. This has only 150,000 miles on it. So we're gonna do a review on it. Stay to the end to go over my 3 top things to look out for if you're thinking of purchasing this vehicle. Coming up next. All right, so this is the Land Cruiser we got. And it's, the paint, you can see, is just a little bit faded. It almost looks like a matte, so I'm kind of contemplating it may be easy for this to become a matte paint job in the end. You see a little bit of fade there. Literally, it sat outside for 8 years without moving. So this is the end result of the exterior. See a little bit of cracking right there in the paint. But everything else, this little funk on the glass, a little bit of cracking on the paint back here, but other than that, it's really minimal compared to like any type of body work it may need. And the roof and everything here looks pretty good. Here is our engine compartment. Now, I understand there was a spider living in here, which did scare Chuck, from what I understand. I don't think that's our exposed wires, but I think our exposed wires are over here. As you can see, some wiring got chewed up there. Something was living in here. And of course, I'm afraid to move this, but we'll take a peek. Little chew marks you can see happen there. So other than that, that's about it. So hopefully we'll get through this pretty fast. So I'm talking about here. So we got to get all this, the nastiness on the door. I mean, this is gonna take some work to get this thing cleaned up. I mean, it is nasty. This is what happens from neglect. So, but I think we can get this thing cleaned up pretty good and get it looking good. We're gonna get the wood pulled out of here too. Old wood just looks dumb. So we'll get all that pulled, and we're gonna get these seats actually fixed. Gonna replace the bottom cushions, and we're gonna get this thing actually sprayed. So we'll get it looking right here soon. It'll look good. So, all right, last stage of Land Cruiser. So we got the windows tinted, we got the wheels powder coated. We're gonna get this paint looking right. We're gonna go charcoal on the paint. Emblems are gonna go charcoal, roof rack's gonna go charcoal. So we're gonna get this thing looking good and looking resellable. So I got the guys here at Kumho, which is gonna hook this thing up and make it look good. So we will go from there. So should look all good. Roof rack will get done too. See you in the next video. Okay, so let me point out a few things that we did to this vehicle. So number one, this is not the factory color scheme that it came with. It did come with, it's silver, and we did actually repaint the plastic panels on the vehicle because after 23 years, this is Florida, and if you're in the Florida sun, a lot of these panels are gonna fade. So this plastic bumper did fade. So we went ahead and did a very, very dark gray. We are in the shade. We went ahead and did that. I actually had the grill blacked out just because I wanted to give it more of a modern look, but the vehicle's 23 years old, so we went with that little more of a modern look. A lot of these things that we did repaint because it did fade. That's about one of the big things that pops out is a lot of panel fading on the vehicle. That's one of the things to look out for, but realistically, I'll show you the number one thing to look out for in a minute. But let's take a look at the rest of the outside of the vehicle. This right here, just before we shot this video, this piece just became lost and I had to order a new one from Toyota, but it is just a signal cover. But at 23 years old, sometimes the sun beats these things and some of these things just get loose, old, and fall apart. So did order a new one. Thank God Toyota still had it for $65. Order a new one of these covers, but just a few things like that. And these are a couple of the accoutrements I was talking about. But realistically, the body panels on this vehicle, I mean, you can't really dent this thing. I mean, it's Toyota quality. This is built only in Japan, and it just so happens in 2021 they decided to quit building the Toyota Land Cruiser. So this is one of the final, well, not the final edition, but one of the older models which people are going to be, you're going to be kind of going after. But a little bit of the panel fade I was talking about, if you get close here, you can kind of see on the plastic rearview mirrors, that they still have a little bit of cracking and such from the paint, which, as I said, this is stuff that just happens to a 23-year-old vehicle. You know, we got a little bit of exposure to the Florida sun and everything like that. But other than that, handles, after 23 years, these are the original handles. You can see a little bit of fade. If you get close right there, you see a little bit of fade from the sun, as I said, on the plastic components. The major ones were all these, and that just stuck out really bad, so we wanted to really make that look a lot better. I did have these wheels powder coated. These are the factory wheels, but I wanted to give it a little more of a modern look, and you could do this with yours. And I went ahead and actually took it to a wheel specialty place, and they powder coated the wheels. We went with the exact same specs of brand new tires, the 275/70/16s that it called for, it came with. It was the Michelin's that the vehicle originally came with, but I went with the Kumhos because they had better ratings than the Michelin's. They were like 4.7, 4.8 after like 30,000 reviews, so I figured we'd go with that. Gas panels. This little guy right here, I've seen some of these pop off before, this little vent for your rear AC, but this one held on tight, so it looks good and everything. I'll tell you a crazy story. This rear, this is an accessory. If yours has this, great, but if yours has it, it's plastic. This is one that we actually had manufactured and replaced. This is an aluminum one, so this one won't crack or break ever again, but much stronger, much better than the original one. We did black out the emblems to give it, like I said, a more modern look to the vehicle, so it doesn't look so old or old school or anything like that. But you know, as I said, everything on this vehicle, you know, these held up. These are the original struts right here. These guys are the original struts holding this up. And the original tailgate, now I just went to Toyota and had to order a new one of these straps. This strap actually so happens to be broken. I'm going to actually get that replaced. But you know, like I said, being down here in the Florida sun, sometimes some of these things just do that. The only weird thing the paint did was just right here. It's like this weird stain that my detailers, they're really good. They just couldn't get the stain out. Just so happened to be in that strange, weird location. But like I said, look at this. Every little switch and handle, perfect. This guy up here, perfect. So all these accoutrements, all these points do operate really well on the outside of the vehicle. Handles on this side, same thing. A little bit of the sun fade, as I mentioned before, that happens on the vehicle. Same with this one over here. A little bit of sun fade. But other than that, as I said, these are Toyota Land Cruisers. This is the flagship for Toyota. So this is what holds up well after all these years. Let's take a peek at the inside. Okay, so check out the inside here. Actually had the steering wheel refinished. It's a leather wrap wheel. I did find a place that could actually dye because the wheel did show some wear to it. Maybe yours may have some wear to it, the one you're looking at. These things can be fixed. Not a big deal, not a problem. Center console cover, I guess over the years did see some wear to it. This is replaced. And we had a couple panels on the leather replaced, a couple of the panels which were showing some wear, so actually did tear and have holes in them. This is factory leather from Japan, so if yours experiences that, that's just a couple things to look out for. Factory radio, we did replace the factory radio because it did fail, and trying to find a replacement factory radio for a 99 Land Cruiser, a little bit of a challenge, so we gave it more of an updated look there with a you know, touchscreen and all the modern features of 2022 for this vehicle. Other than that, what surprises me is the dash. Now this dash right here, Toyota had in 2007 with their Camrys. They had a problem with sticky dashes and the dash is just basically melting. This one here was in the Florida sun for basically 23 years and no dash crack, no fade or anything like that. Handles on this vehicle, I mean, rock solid. Every handle, every you know, pretty much everything on this vehicle just held up perfect. The only thing was aftermarket was the wood grain dash. So you can see a little bit of separation happening on some of the wood, like here, and a little bit right there on, yeah, you can see the wood just splitting up a little bit. They can be removed. It takes several hours to take a blow dryer, a heat gun, I call it a blow dryer, it's a heat gun, to basically remove the glue and remove that, and just gotta use some of that Goo Gone and get some of that glue off there. If the one you're looking at does have wood splitting, that can be fixed. But center console, you know, like I said, look at this. These are things that fall apart over the years. It's just stuff like this. Although this one, just the cover is replaced, but not the components or anything like that were not replaced. But you know, other than that, as I said, this is a Toyota Land Cruiser. We did replace all the interior lights with with LEDs. So like the 160, the 194 LEDs. And so a couple of the lights that we did in the interior, we did replace the headlights with LEDs too, just as I said, to give this more of a modern feel to the vehicle if somebody's driving a 23-year-old Toyota Land Cruiser. But let's take a look at the back. Okay, so So I said, we actually did, we did a couple little things to the vehicle. We actually did dye the rear seats, but that was just because, you know, some of the leather fades and you know, shows some wear to it. But as far as the operation of everything like that on these old Land Cruisers, I mean, you can't beat them. They are rock solid. It is put together pretty well. As I said, we did replace all the lights in here with LED lights. Headliner, rear AC in this vehicle, still working strong. You know, surprisingly, a couple of the mechanical repairs we did to the vehicle, just because of its age, did a lot of the belts, did the timing belt. So number one thing you got to look out for on this vehicle is the timing belt. It is a 4.7 liter V8, and I'll show you when you get underneath the hood some of the work we did underneath the hood there. So swing around this way, I'll just show you just the rear cargo area back here. Hey, everything operates perfectly like it's supposed to. After 23 years, these seats do fold up like they're supposed to. And as I said, I mean, this is it's all tight. Everything in this vehicle is tight. This is why people pay so much money for these Toyota Land Cruisers. Let's go check out the. All right, so we did a lot of stuff here to this vehicle. That's just normal basic maintenance that needed to be done to the vehicle. But just as a precaution, we replaced all the belts, including the timing belt and water pump was done to this vehicle. That is the number one thing you got to look out for when purchasing this vehicle. It's a 4.7 V8. It's the 2UZ FE. This particular motor, make sure as a preventative, you know, to do the timing belt. If the one you're looking at, if nobody knows if it's been done, definitely get that thing done, because that is one of the most important things to have done on this vehicle. Secondly, is the heating system on the vehicle. Because this is Florida, we don't really use the heat at all. It is January and I'm wearing short sleeves. It's like 70 degrees out right now. But we very rarely use the heat. And I discovered like about a week ago in this vehicle, when I actually did need to use the heat, the cord just got clogged. Something that easily can be done about an hour at a Toyota dealership. They can actually unclog the cord. AC works now, blowing real hot. But that's like the second thing you gotta look out for. Third thing, as I mentioned earlier, is a lot of these little things that are going to kind of go bad on the vehicle. If you're in one of the southern states, Florida, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, if you got sun more than 300 days a year like we do here, a lot of these things will take some damage, fade, and sometimes they'll just wear. Just some of these rubber components and stuff like that will just give up after a certain amount of time. But hey, this is a Toyota Land Cruiser. I mean, this thing is the flagship of all Toyota vehicles. All right, so we covered the Land Cruiser. Like I said, 150,000 miles, 23 years old. A couple things you got to look out for. Number one, as I said, the timing belt's the most important thing. Find out when that was done. It's either every 5 years or 60,000 miles when you should have it done. That's what the manufacturer recommends. If you go a little over, it's okay, but at least to have somebody inspect it, they can remove the timing belt cover. Number two, check make sure your HVAC systems are properly working. Air conditioning down here in Florida is most important, but double check that heat. Most of you may be in a northern state or in a northern area, somewhere in the world, wherever you're watching this video at. Check those components. And number three, just if a couple of things start to show some wear, and it just might have been from, like I said, down here we got a lot of sun, and a lot of our things do burn out. But other than that, thanks for watching and staying to the end. If you're not subscribed, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share, and turn on the bell for notifications. And we'll see you in the next video.